I just couldn't be her mom, obviously. Like, I wasn't her mom. I couldn't be her mom at that moment. And so I didn't want to get connected to her like I was her mother because I was so hurt. And I had so much pain already. I didn't want to cause more pain every single time I had to say bye to her. My mom and my husband came, and they came with Aria basically every single time that they could. And they brought me everything I ever asked for, which was the greatest thing in the world, to keep my anxiety at bay. I was making lists 24/7 because I can't really describe it. My mind wouldn't shut off, and so I was making lists. It made me feel a little better, but I would have to call them every day to ask them to bring things because I was just so homesick. I wanted to be home with my baby, and I wasn't, and I couldn't be because I wasn't allowed to be released yet. And I kept bringing things from home, things to help me remember to pump, and I needed like a timer. I couldn't have my phone, so I needed like a timer, a watch, to be able to breast pump. So I had to pump around the clock when I was in there, every 2 hours during the day and every 4 hours during the night. And they made me basically dump all of that because of the medication I was on. They said that wasn't safe, but all the medications I was on, it was safe for me to feed her, but for some reason they just weren't allowing me to give it to her, which really makes me upset because as her mother, I should be allowed to feed her whatever I want, honestly, and I should be allowed to see the risks and weigh the risks, obviously, and decide for my own self what my daughter can eat. And I wanted to give her my breast milk. That's the whole purpose of me pumping was to give it to her. And the whole reason for me to pump was to keep up my supply so I could breastfeed her. And I was going to once I got home. So that was something that was frustrating, but there was also a lot of frustration with the nurses there that they treated me so bad. Is they never gave me the rules for, like, there's a certain times that are quiet times, so you're not allowed to come out of your room, and there's all these things you're not allowed to have because people might hurt you or people might commit suicide with them. So any kind of strings, we had to take them off, you know, off of a hoodie, off of shorts, anything. My pump was even a danger. I wasn't allowed to be accepted into a psych ward because I wanted to pump to be able to keep up my supply. And so I had to wait a little longer to be able to be accepted into a psych ward that would allow me to pump to keep up my supply for her. I was accepted into this place, but they had to keep putting away the pump every single time I used it. Like, they would lock it up in a closet. Very, very unfair and rude to me because I was not sleeping because my anxiety was still so strong and I was in a lot of pain as well. So they were giving medication for pain and medication for my anxiety, but I still wasn't sleeping at night, and they were getting like mad at me for not sleeping and being starved. Like, I was starving. Like, any breastfeeding mother knows at least the first few months you're like the most ravenous creature you've ever been, and it's not anything like when you were pregnant. It's a million times more ravenous. And I was just so hungry all the time, and I could only get snacks at certain times, and I could only get lunch and dinner at certain times. So I would like scarf down all the food that they would allow me to have. But I was still really hungry. So I had my parents, my mom and my husband, bring me snacks that I could have in the room, like dry snacks that I could have anytime I wanted. But even then they were like, oh, you can only have one at a time or whatever. So I had to keep asking them for things. and it ticked them off that I was asking for anything at that point. But there was a man that was just like, he was so upset, and he's like, you need to stop bringing things in here. Don't One of the reasons why we don't want you to have things is because someone can strangle themselves on a hoodie string, and saying all these things to me when I'm one of their like patients suffering with my own mental illness, and I don't need to be hearing about how a string could be used from a hoodie to strangle themselves. Like, I don't need to be hearing those things. And they were just really unprofessional about it all. And my mother was there when that happened, and she was really, really surprised at the way they were treating me. There was a lady that was getting so upset. She got angry with my mother when my mom brought a bunch of snacks in plastic bags, because plastic bags are dangerous and they could be used as a weapon. So they were mad at her. Instead of being kind and just saying that you're not allowed to have plastic bags because they are a danger, if we can just keep them out here in the open while you guys look through the snacks, and then basically not allow the bags to go into my room or anything, and my mom just take them home. Instead of doing that, they were getting really upset with her and saying, you can't have this, you can't have any of this stuff, it's all, you're not allowed to have it, blah 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 blah, and not even telling us why we couldn't have it. And they got very, very rude with us about it. And my midwife put in a complaint for the way that they treated us, but I don't know if they put in the complaint really for how they treated me. I think they just put in a complaint for my whole situation of what happened, not really the way that they were treating me, because they were being really awful. And my mother, she said that this nurse is being very rude to my daughter, and the guy didn't even care. Like, nobody cared that it was happening. And after that, I just wanted to get out of there. I was like, I can't do this anymore. I can't be locked up in here anymore. That I need, they're not allowing me to have anything that I need, and I need to go home. So I was on very strong medication when I was there, because I was having such high anxiety, even more, because I kept getting in trouble for everything when they never gave me the rules of what you can have and all of that. And just basically, they treated me wrongly. They weren't professional, and it made my situation worse, honestly, because once I got home, I imagined everything as a weapon. I was so, like, because they made me believe, like, oh, anything can be used as a weapon. Once I got home, I was having problems not thinking of things as weapons anymore. And I made my husband and my father-in-law take everything that could be used as a weapon out of my home, so that I could have my home be a safe space. And so when you have suicidal or homicidal thoughts, a lot of places will ask you to go to the ER, and then you go see Frontier, and then Frontier deals with suicide and homicidal thoughts with mental illness, mostly suicide. And they will get you into a psych ward to help you and get you balanced. ER, or they make you go into the ER, and they have you go through the protocol, basically, of what happens when you have suicidal thoughts. And they try to get you to go in, so you go into a psych ward, so you're in a safe space. So a safe space is anywhere where there's things that can't be used as weapons, obviously, to hurt yourself or others around you. And so that's kind of what they kept trying to do with me. And so I was just sick of it, and I didn't want to go into a psych ward anymore. I wanted to be home with my daughter, because that was the whole point of me fighting to stay alive, and to stay what I felt like to stay alive, because I felt like I was dying. Just the way that my body felt and my mind felt, it was the darkest moments of my life. And I just would never wish it on anyone. But basically, we made my home a safe home so I could stay in my house with my daughter. And things started getting better as soon as I was with her. But I was still having very high anxiety. I was still having panic attacks. And my medication was still not strong enough. And one of the things is, with the psych ward, they're supposed to set you up with psychiatrists and therapists, counselors, so that you're able to succeed without them. And they didn't. They never set me up with anyone, and they didn't help me get, when we called about my medication, they said that they weren't allowed to communicate with me anymore because I had left the psych ward. And we needed someone to give me medication, to prescribe me medication, and you have to have a psychiatrist to prescribe you medication. So I didn't have a psychiatrist after I left. I did, but apparently I wasn't allowed to use him anymore. And so I needed medication to keep me sane, but I wasn't able to get it because I didn't have a psychiatrist. So my husband and my mom, they were working really hard to get me a psychiatrist, to find me someone that was within insurance. And it was just a very hard process to go through. We finally found a place that I could go to that was an outpatient program that helps with anxiety.
You okay?
It was helpful when I went to the outpatient program to just be able to vent and talk about my feelings. But I didn't really need all of the tips and tricks and everything, just because I basically just needed medication to balance out my hormones. So if I did have anxiety that high naturally, then that would be very helpful. But I didn't really have it that full on. I don't really have it full on like that. Normally it's just when apparently there's a hormone imbalance within me that causes like really bad anxiety. Yeah, so basically we weren't able to get medication for a while, and then we finally found a psychiatrist that was able to give me medication, and they were able to give me something that was fast acting so that when I was having panic attacks, I would be able to take it right away and it would help me calm down. It took a while. My mother stayed with me for, I think, over a month, and she really helped me because I was having really bad anxiety, and she's been through anxiety like that. And there were times where my mouth was so dry that I couldn't eat. I was too scared to eat because I felt like I was going to choke to death. And because of that, then I was not wanting to eat anything. And so I just wanted smoothies because I was so scared and terrified of dying. And on top of that, I was still having suicidal thoughts. And that might have been partially because of medication side effects, that they say you kind of have side effects for the beginning part, but then eventually your body gets used to them, so then you don't have those side effects anymore. I was having suicidal thoughts and I was really terrified, and like I said before, that's when I had my husband and my mom like stay with me through the whole night because I was too scared that I was going to hurt myself. I had them stay in the bathroom with me while I showered, just to make sure that I wouldn't hurt myself. And it was very scary. Like, it's very scary when your mind is thinking things that you never would think of on your own. So I was having very intrusive thoughts, and it was scary, and they weren't my own. They weren't, like, I didn't want to commit suicide. I didn't want to hurt anyone around me. I didn't want to die. I just gave birth to my beautiful little girl that I love more than anything in the world. Why would I want to die? You know, why would I want to kill anyone in my family that she will eventually grow and love, you know? And it was just a very scary situation that no one was prepared for. Nobody knew this was going to happen to me. Nobody knew that I was gonna be that sick. That's the story. That's what happened to me. I finally got better with time, with medication, with my mom and my husband being extremely patient with me. I mean, I was in such a dark place, you guys, and I hope this helps somebody. I hope that you never have to go through this, but I hope that it shines light on postpartum. It shines light on postpartum illnesses, psychosis, bipolar, OCD, all of the postpartum sicknesses you can have. I hope it shines a light on that, and I hope it shines a light on our healthcare system in general, and how they don't have anything in place for postpartum help. You know, I should have been able to still have been with my daughter during getting better. You know, they should have a place where you're able to go during the daytime and able to come home at night to be with your family, which there are places. There's a place where the place I went for my outpatient program, they're gonna build a place like that. But there was no options for me like that. There were no options for me like that. So I missed a week of my daughter's life because of it, you know, and it hurts. Like, when I look back and see how tiny she was, and how by the time I got home, she basically grew out of all of her newborn clothes, and it's clothes that I personally washed and folded and loved. You know, I knew where all her things were. Like, I planned it way in advance because I was so excited to meet her. I was so excited to have her here. And the little clothes that I folded and cleaned for her, the newborn sizes, I basically never saw her in them. And that's something that's really painful, and it might seem stupid, but it is really painful to go through. Because it's like, you're just so excited. You're so excited to see them in the cute little clothes. You're so excited to meet them, to see what they're like. And, you know, when you lose time with them, it's very painful. And I'm just thankful that I'm with her now. I'm thankful that she's healthy and she's thriving. You guys, she's the cutest thing. She's the cutest little thing. But she was worth it all. Like, they're so worth it. They're so worth all the pain. They're so worth all the suffering of pregnancy, of postpartum. They're so worth it. And she's everything to me. And, you know, I don't know what they're like later in life, but what she's like right now is just like the best thing ever. And I think more than anything, it's just the love that you have for them is so worth it. Like, the feeling that you have for them is worth it. Like I love how much I love her. Like, I've never felt anything like it before, and it's amazing. That's my postpartum story, you guys, and it's scary. I hope that it helps you, and I hope that this never happens to you, and I hope that when and if you ever go through this, that you're heard, and that you are strong and able to get through it like I did. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Feel free to subscribe, because I'm going to be throwing a lot of content out there, mostly baby stuff, but some makeup stuff. So feel free to subscribe. Bye, guys.